Okay, so I read the new Berserk chapter 384 last Saturday because I went on Friday and none of the scans had dropped like in English. I seen one in Arabic, so I just like tried using like my Quran Arabic to help my way through it, but it's like I don't understand the words still being used even if I'm able to read it. Anyways, this is a huge, massive chapter. This is like the second or third chapter that has come out since I've gotten caught up. I got caught up like last year. Anyways, I've always felt like Griffith and Guts are more of like kindred spirits, twin flame sort of thing, as opposed to like, oh, like Griffith really. I didn't view as much of a, I guess, a romantic undertones to what it was that was going on. I always felt like it was more of just like a somebody who like you really connect with and you can be yourself around, which is what makes like the whole story tragic because Griffith found that this man Guts like helped him disarm himself and he was starting to forget about the thing that was the most important to him in his life, which was really just like a kid's little fever dream, like I want to have a castle, like some Disney Channel shit. Oh, Disney Channel stuff. Disney Channel stuff. And then Guts, who's like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna be friends with people, never gonna be friends with people, now finds himself really connecting to Griffith and it's just sitting here is like, oh, huh, I want to be seen as equal as him. Like that's not something he would have ever done. So then the fact that then what happens, it's just like I feel like I'm explaining like the most basic, but it's like you really look at it and you break it down, you're like, dang, like this is like they're like what's the term? Like anachronisms for each other. Like because Griffith goes and he rejects, I reject humanity. Who is that? That's Dio. Which I think Dio and Jotaro are very much, there's something there. I think Araki was definitely looking at Berserk when he was writing Dio and Jonathan or whatever the case is, because it's like, I reject humanity. Like that's literally what Griffith did. Like you just reheating his nachos. But anyways, I don't even know where the timeline goes. I feel like the sacrifice would have had to happen before that, right? Anyways, back on track. Like Griffith is, I think Griffith and Guts both represent like Christ-like figures, peace be upon him, within their stories. But Griffith is viewed as like the messianic figure, and then he's actually more of like the antichrist, and then Guts is vice versa, where he's seen as like the evil antichrist-like figure who brings doom or whatever the case is. But he's actually gonna be the one who ends up saving humanity. At least that's what I think towards the end. Just looking at the chapter itself, because I've been just waffling around talking about greater things. I remember seeing the frame where it's like Guts is like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And then all of a sudden he gets like the flashes of memory and I see his mom hanging from the tree. I'm like, oh shoot, we gonna go back to that? Because I always felt like, oh, you just gonna tell me like he survived off of that? Like there's not anything more to that piece. So then when they're like, yeah, you were born of the astral plane and also the physical plane, that you're like operating in both, and then your other half or whatever the case was, like to me that just confirmed my whole like worldview about what it was that was going on. I know like people say like his romantic undertones or like some weird possession stuff, but it was like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like that was, there was definitely evidence for that, but that was just not the reading I had. I felt like they were more, just folks that you really connect with, like good best friends. So I see that and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I also just thought about too, it's like, okay, Guts' mom being like hung from the tree and then he's being born kind of just reminds me of like Maryam alayhi salam and like how she's, this person who shouldn't have been able to give birth. In her context, in the Berserk story, it's like it's a dead person, so they shouldn't be able to give birth. And then within like the Abrahamic religion, Abrahamic faiths, it's like a woman who hasn't been touched by a man, that sort of thing. And they're both still able to, and then their children end up becoming like these big world changers, whatever the case is. I don't know. think it's really interesting to see like the little connection, all that sort of stuff. And then I was also thinking about like Skull Knight's quotes and stuff, and I saw this image of just like a bunch of screen grabs of different Skull Knight quotes, and like those make a lot more sense, and you realize bro's not just waffling. I always felt like people probably just feel like, oh, he's waffling, he's just saying whatever the case is. It's like, no, like he was talking that real stuff. He really was dropping all this stuff before, and then you realize like, oh shoot, like dang, like they talk about Oda foreshadows, but shoot, I think Miura does a better job at it. I'm gonna lie, Studio Gaga, they doing they work, bro. I know people were like, oh, the pacing's so bad. It should have just ended with that one chapter, the last chapter he wrote. It's like, no, no. I have trust in them. I know, it's hard when the actual mangaka is not really there anymore, but you just gotta make do with what you have. I trust that the story is gonna be taken care of. Obviously the art styles changed a little bit, whatever the case is, but that's not a problem. As long as I'm able to like consume and continue the story, like I'm chilling, whatever the case is. I don't know. I'm really liking what's going on here. With like Gus just being in that fetal position reminds me a lot of the eclipse. And to me, these events are clearly supposed to be set up as like opposites, foils to one another, where Guts is going to need to get back in touch with that human aspect of himself, because I feel like he's been trying to reject that and just submit to the anger piece, and that's going to be the way that he's going to be able to defeat Griffith at the end of the day. Whereas Griffith wanted to reject his humanity, but then I think he'll find too, it's that, oh shoot, that humanity's still actually there at the end of the day. My favorite frame was at the end there, where they both are just like sitting there with like the straight face, with like the weird little smoke coming away from them, and it's like they're split down the line. You just see them both. It's like, oh shoot, like that's really what the story is. And I feel like some people might be like, okay, well, doesn't that kind of take away from the story, because now we realize, oh, Guts has really been this chosen one the whole time, whatever the case was. But it's like, I don't think it took that chapter to know like there was something that was a little different about him. And I don't think it necessarily ruins, because that's what happens in a lot of different things. And you still realize like bro had to work for everything that happened to him. I don't know. It's a good story, man. I'm excited, and I know there's a couple more chapters that are going to be coming out pretty soon here. I don't know. The thing is with Berserk, it's like you get like the cool fighting stuff, and I get hyped when I see the fighting stuff. And when you get like the more chill dialogue-y parts, I like those too. And when you get like these more introspective moments, like I like it all. It like really brings you around, up and around, and it's like, what I'm saying? Like, I think when all those elements are engaging in their own certain type of ways, it's like I can't be mad about that. It's great. Yeah. I don't know if I really have anything much else to say. Yeah. I guess two more things too. I really liked how like we get to see like the child Guts go into, the child Guts go into Guts, and it's like he's reborn in that frame. And like to me that like represented like that dead part of himself, like his deeper emotions that he probably started repressing around the time when he was assaulted. And we're seeing that become reborn again. And I think that's a really cool, interesting metaphor. And then lastly, and it's also like too, because they're in the fetal position, it's like you're being born back into the world, and like the stupa like opens and some like just comes out, like that whole sequence was really cool. I was just imagining, that's what I like about the framing, like the panels in Berserk, is like I feel like I'm seeing the thing be animated in real time. And also Guts in that one frame, the first frame, he looks a lot like the cursed child, like the demon child, and then it's like growing from there too. And I wonder if there's gonna be some connection there. But yeah, that's all I have to say.